We are filming in the home office of Pioneer Tree Removal in Pop Pop's workshop.
Howdy. Like Dixie said, tonight this video comes to you from my garage, which is my office for my tree removal business, and Pop Pop's workshop. So almost a year ago, I became a grandpa. And you know, grandpa is what most kids call their grandpa, papa. What other names are there?
I really don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I wanted to be different. That's me. I'm just different. So I came up with Pop Pop. So my little grandbaby Riley, she'll be a year old in 2 weeks. And for Christmas, my son, his wife, and Riley gave me that old antique handsaw, and they had painted on their Pop Pop's workshop. So I hung it over my garage door, and here we are in Pop Pop's workshop tonight. So here in Mesa, Arizona, my house backs up to a very busy city street with 2 traffic signals within about a tenth of a mile of one another, and everybody likes to race them back and forth. But anyways, we're gonna pick up where we left off from a couple weeks ago in the building of the John Sered 2071 with the Highway 52mm big bore kit. Now, I got a little ahead of myself last week. We had a couple days where it was rainy and I wasn't able to spend any time outside doing stuff or doing tree removal jobs. So I spent a lot of time in the garage puttering on stuff, and I got bored and I partially reassembled the saw. I fitted everything, made sure everything was gonna fit, and yeah. So tonight we are going to install the piston and cylinder and put some of the other hardware on. But before we do that, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I'm using in this build. Back in December, the first saw I built was a Husqvarna 365 Special. It was an OEM cylinder with a highway pop-up piston and a cable ring. I had about 5 tanks of gas through it, and I hung a ring, tore off the top of my piston, and it was done. So I bought a faulty oil pump from Wolf Creek Saw Shop, and I had let Ryan know, hey, I got this pump, I don't think it's working right. In our conversation, he says, well, send it back, I'll get you your money back. I can't give you a new one because there's been other pumps that have come back faulty as well. We're going to take them off our shelf until Highway gets it figured out. So I had just called him to let him know, hey, you know, I had this failure. I don't know if maybe anybody else has reported anything similar, broken ring, you know, whatever it might be. And I've never met Ryan in person. I've talked to him on the phone once or twice. I've made a lot of orders from him, but I'll tell you what, that guy and his business, stand up. Top notch, first class. Ryan said, hey Tim, you know what, I feel bad that there was a failure that wiped out your top end. I want to take care of you. So kind of as a warranty of sorts, he sent me a piston and cylinder kit. He asked me, you know, what size would you like, 48, 50, or 52? And I said, well, shoot, you know, I'd like to try the 52mm kit out. So that's what I did. Ryan, within 2 or 3 days of that, Ryan had sent me a top end kit, and that's what we're using on this saw. So the cylinder, there was no machine work or anything done to it. It's gonna have factory timing numbers. I did polish the exhaust, rough up the intake, and rough up the transfers, and that was it. I didn't do anything else to it. Now it came with a pop-up piston, and I got on this kind of idea, this kick that less weight is better. Saw run better, smoother, faster, stronger. So I got to looking around trying to find a lighter piston, and with the 52 millimeter kit, the only other option for a piston was a Meteor 272 piston. Well, for those of you that don't know, that don't build saws, I don't consider myself to be a saw builder. I just have a tree removal business, and building saws is kind of a hobby. With the 52 millimeter Meteor 272 piston, it's too tall by about 40 thousandths of an inch, so you have to either recut the combustion chamber, squish band and all that, or you cut the top of the piston. Well, in doing so, I had a pop-up cut in the piston. Now, I've got the number 71 written on the piston. That's 71 grams. The highway piston was 94 grams. That's a substantial weight savings. I know there's different ideas about weight builds torque, light builds speed. You know, whatever side you stand on, hey, it's great. I'm deeming this saw kind of a test saw. It's going to be a working saw. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it a lot, but I'm trying things, kind of pushing the envelope. So here I've got my 71 gram piston. I also bought a dominant titanium wrist pin. It weighs, I've got another one in here that has the weight written on it. I'm trying to think. I think it's 9 grams. So 9 grams and 71 is 80 grams. So just the ring and piston, or the wrist pin and piston by itself, are 14 grams lighter than the highway pop-up piston. So that's what we're going to use. The machine work on the piston, cutting it down and doing the pop-up, was done by a fellow in New Hampshire, Matt House. I think there's quite a few of you that know him, follow him on social media, YouTube as well. Super nice guy. He's been very resourceful in helping me with my saw builds, but I sent him my piston and he did the work. All right. I did a lot of prep work to kind of speed things up. I want to keep my videos a little bit shorter. The last one was 45 minutes and it took like 8 hours for it to upload. But a 15-20 minute video isn't so bad. So I think tonight we'll move forward, probably do 2, maybe 3 videos, but we're gonna get the piston on the crankcase. Dixie's gonna help me out, but while we're working, I'm gonna have Dixie talk to you about her school day. But I wanna tell you a little bit about Dixie. She helps me with my business. She never complains. She goes everywhere I go. She's a hard worker. She's interested in learning new things, and that's great. It's awesome. I love that she's my sidekick and goes with me everywhere I go. Now, the other thing about Dixie is she is a scholar. She is an exceptional student. She gets Principal's Honor Roll. She gets Citizen of the Month. She does the weekly announcement at her school. She's not afraid to talk in front of the camera. And everybody that meets this kid absolutely loves her. Everywhere she goes, people want to be her friend. It's always Dixie, Dixie, Dixie. Everywhere we go. Everybody knows Dixie and loves Dixie. So, as I work, I'm going to talk, but I'm going to have Dixie talk a little bit too. Real quick though, I want to tell you what my timing numbers ended up being on this saw. Like I said, these are stock timing numbers. Nothing was altered. My exhaust was 100, transfers 125, giving me 25 degrees of blowdown. My intake timing 83 degrees or 166 degrees of duration. My squish was 27 thousandths. Now, my intention was to have a 20 thousandth squish with this piston when it was cut down. I made an error in my drawing. I drew it as though it were the highway piston, and I forgot to add 7 thousandths to the top of the piston to get it up to give me my 20 thousandths. But 27 thousandths isn't bad with the pop-up. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. But anyways, I've got 42 degrees of case compression. So the skirt being shorter, gives me my 83 degrees of intake timing. The only way I could fix that possibly would be to put JB Weld in the intake. I love running my my Dremel / Fordham tool here, but I just didn't feel like doing that. And talking with a saw builder yesterday about it, he said it would be fine, not to worry about it. That that number's not a horrible number, and we'll just see how the saw runs. But anyways, I've pre-cleaned everything with denatured alcohol, clean paper towel, but I'm gonna go ahead and dampen it again and clean it and let it dry, and then we will put the piston and wrist pin together. So I degreased this earlier with some aerosol degreaser and then wiped it down with alcohol, but we'll wipe it down one more time. We'll let it dry. Dixie, before we put the piston or the cylinder on the piston, remind me to put a little bit of assembly lube inside the piston so it's not dry.
Here, I'll put it next to it so then I remember.
Good job. So, see, she's a smart kid. So, today, sitting at the dinner table, Dixie was telling us about what she learned at school. And so, as I'm doing this, I'll talk a little bit, but I want Dixie to tell you about what she learned at school today. And then we will get to putting everything together. And I'm using Maxima Assembly Lube. I'm gonna put a good generous coating on everything and we'll go from there. But real quick on that Dominant wrist pin, I talked to Bill Lockwood yesterday from Dominant. I had some questions, had a good conversation with him. They say that the wrist pin is good for 35 tanks. And I asked him, how does it fail? What does it do when it fails? I mean, there's several different situations that could take place, but he told me monitoring the piston, the wrist pin, and the bearing, take the top end off and check it out is the way to go. That way you might catch the failure before it happens. I had already planned on every 5 tanks pulling the muffler off, and he told me at 20 tanks to take the top end off and inspect it, but I might just at 15 tanks take it off, and then at 30 tanks take it off, and then at 35, if it hasn't blown up, tear it down and fully inspect it. I've talked about it kind of being a test saw of sorts. I'm going to use 1 gas. I ordered an oversized gas can. I'm putting 6.5 gallons of gas in it. And then I'm using the Blenzol gold label oil. It will be mixed at 32:1. And that's the only gas, the only gas and oil that I'm gonna burn in the saw. Kind of a control thing, so I know exactly what was burned in it, and I can't ever say, oh, well, maybe I had some bad gas, or whatever the case might be. Enough of listening to me. I'm gonna work, and I'm gonna let Dixie talk. So Dixie, it's all you, babe.
Okay. So today in leadership, which is one of my specials, so I go to ALA and we have these things called Raised Values.
ALA is a charter school based here in Arizona. Their home office is in North or South Carolina, I can't remember. And they have other divisions of this school in other states as well. So ALA, charter school in Arizona. And Mom teaches there, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And we have the Raised Values, which stand for respect, accountability, integrity, service, and excellence. And so in leadership, we talk about the Raised Values. And so we talked about this guy whose name was Easy Eddie, and he was the lawyer for Al Capone, and he had a son. And so we were talking about like how to do the right thing. And he had a son, and he wanted his son to have a good name and a good reputation. And so he went and told the truth about Al Capone, because he kept Al Capone out of jail, and he went and told the truth about him. And then so and then we talked about this other guy named I think Butch O'Hare, yeah, and how he was like he was in World War II, and there's an airport that in Chicago called the
Chicago O'Hare.
Yeah, Chicago O'Hare Airport, and trying to figure out how the two stories were related, and Butch O'Hare was Easy Eddie's son.
So there you go, a little history lesson for a little education today at the table from Dixie. So yeah, I learned something new. I didn't know that. Did anybody else know that? If you did, drop a comment. If you know more to the story, feel free to leave a comment and share. So I'm just going to use a little bean oil, 2-stroke mix oil as the oil inside my piston. I know it's not the Blendzall, but I didn't want to open the jug and try to pour just a cap full, so I got the bean oil handy, ready, and available. It's one of the oils I've used. It's good oil. I like it. Nothing wrong with it. But I've run a fair amount of the Blendzall Gold Label, and I really like it. I don't know that it's the oil I'm going to burn forever, but right now that's what I'm using. That's what I like. So I'm going to set this off to the side. Okay, we've got our screws, we've got our compressor, Q-tips, and so today when I put the case halves together, I used Rhinzo-Seal, Victor Rhines, and I'm going to use it again tonight to put the piston and cylinder on. And again, I'm using my little piece of painter's tape over here. There's also my script to remind me to share with you my timing numbers and a little bit about what I had done with this saw. So, all right, now I put the intake boot on and the little metal throttle bracket. It's all new, nothing used or secondhand. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and put a thin coat of the gasket maker on the base of the saw.
Did you already do what I was supposed to remind you about?
Yep, put the oil in the cylinder. Okay. So I asked Dixie earlier as we were out here talking about what we were gonna do tonight as far as our video, and I had told her, remind me to put some oil in the cylinder so that it's not dry. That would be bad. All of my hard work that I did getting it prepped. I did polish the exhaust, pretty sure I said that. I did open up the intake a little bit. I found that it's just smaller than a nickel. So I get a nickel and I trace it out and kind of use the nickel as my guide so that I keep it symmetrical. I'm very much about things being symmetrical and the same shape and size or of equal proportions. It's just kind of a weird, I don't know if it's OCD or what it is, but I like to keep things uniform. Now you'd probably look at my garage and say, oh, I don't know about that. Your garage is kind of messy. I don't think so, bud. But anyways. All right, there we go. Got a nice coat of the Rhinzo-Seal on it. I wiped around the inside of the transfers to minimize what squeezes out into them. Just going around the outside, double check it, looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna pull up, fold up, throw away. Have a couple Q-tips ready for mop up. All right, so I use the little ring compressor. I'm not that good yet to not use it. Maybe someday I'll get there where I don't have to use it. Let's see. All right, okay. Well, I missed my mark a little bit, which that's all right. It's not every day that I put a piston and a cylinder together. All right, there we go. Pull it out. I like to get it. Oh man. It's giving me a little fit here. Dixie, actually, trade me sides real quick. There we go.
Do you have any stickers?
Yep, they sure are.
Do you have an extra one I can put on my binder?
You can. I have a bunch of those.
Okay.
So when I ordered a wrist pin from Dominant, I also ordered some stickers, got some free stickers to go with it. All
I don't
right.
know if I'll have room on my binder for
Okay.
it.
We have touchdown. This isn't even football. So I will get everything torqued down. Probably stop my video once the cylinder is on and tight, and then probably restart and pick up where we left off, just so my video doesn't go incredibly long. But I will. I hasn't engaged the head of the screen. I will. There we go. I'm gonna let it set for about 4 hours. I know I'm gonna be up tonight, just thinking about it and whatnot, and I will probably come out around midnight or 2 in the morning and put my gauge on it, and with a drill and a socket. Dixie, trade me side, babe. There we go. Put the drill and socket on it and turn it over to see what kind of compression I get. Now, I'm estimating at the lowest 150. I'm really hoping for 180. I would be tickled pink if I was in the neighborhood of 200, but I don't know. We will see. There we go. All right. Piston and cylinder in place. I've got a socket here. If you hear it, you can hear it plugging. Making a little bit of compression in there. Not a whole lot because there's no plug in it. But so I will let that dry. Like I said, I will probably be up at midnight or 2 in the morning if it turns freely. I think we're good. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video here, and I'll come back in a minute and restart it. But that was us putting together this top end for this build that we're doing. John Sered 2071 with a Highway 52 millimeter big bore kit. And yeah, here we go. So thanks for joining us tonight from the home office, my garage of Pioneer Tree Removal and Pop Pop's Workshop in Mesa, Arizona.